Yeah, let's come to your school education, primary school, the city, even the name of the school, ambience of the school.
Okay.
It starts from the primary, then we finish in this question all your education.
Okay, I went to elementary school at Lincoln Elementary School in Torrance. I walked to school with friends. It was about 1 mile away. I walked back. I think I was pretty much a shy child, although my parents say that I wasn't, but I felt that way. Then I went to middle school, which was across the street from my home, Casimir Middle School, and then high school was North High High School. And then to college, which was the junior college, El Camino, it's local. And then to California State University in Los Angeles. And while I was in this university, I studied anthropology, which is my bachelor's degree is in anthropology. And I have a senior level standing in electrical engineering as well over there. During that time I was at this university was the Los Angeles riots, and maybe you've heard about that in Turkish television. That was in 1993, I want to say. I'm not sure about that year, but it was a very big riots in Los Angeles where the African Americans, mostly group, felt because somebody got beaten up by the police, then that whole community started rioting. So at that time I was in the school, smoke from fires was going through my school, and I had to leave and go home, be safe. What else?
Do you have bad or good memories even from primary, secondary school, high school, and university?
I remember being one bad memory I have from elementary school was just playing, and one boy who was much bigger than me ran up to me and hit me on my head with his metal lunchbox, and I passed out. I fell down, and I don't remember. And I guess one other boy saw it, and he went into the school administration and got the nurse and came out, and I woke up on top of the lunch tables. And this I remember was, and I remember the face of that boy, and thinking something must be wrong with him. Why would he do that to me? And knowing that something wasn't right. Maybe he had some mental, problem. And I wasn't angry at him. For some reason, I knew he wasn't right, and I should just forgive him for that. So that was one kind of, in a sense, bad memory because I got hurt, but it was an important memory. Good.
What was Emmy, according to your teachers? Which kind of student she was?
I think my teachers would say that I was a smart student, but I did not apply myself as much as I should. That's probably what they would say.
Did you make sport in school?
No, I'm very bad in sports, so very bad.
You didn't interest something else, just you study your lectures, huh?
No, my parents, my mom, she took me to ballet classes and gymnastics classes. And we would ride our bicycles in front of our home and play, but in like organized sports, I never did those, soccer or basketball or anything like that. I didn't do those.
Okay. Let's come to your working. You finished your university. Where did you work? I mean, how did you work? Which job did you work? In which places?
Okay.
No bad memories.
I started working before I finished school. I started working babysitting people's houses to make money. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so I knew that I had to start learning how to work. So I worked from very young, like 13. And from there I worked in an ice cream store, and I worked as a secretary in a law office. I worked different jobs like that. Finally, when I graduated college, I worked in a finance company of Nissan Motor. It was called Nissan Motor Acceptance Corporation. So it's the finance company of Nissan. And I was there for 7 years before I had my first daughter, and then I quit. Since then, I've been doing other things, though. Since then, I have been Right now, currently, I am an employee of our mosque as the office manager. Before that, I also was on the board of my daughter's preschool, president and secretary of that.
Try to look only to me, nowhere else.
Okay.
Okay, let's come to Islamic subjects. That before you became a Muslim, what was your knowledge about Islam and how you became a Muslim? This fourth question you can explain, but this is the try to make it long, like composition, you know.
Okay, so what I thought about Islam, and then how I came to it.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I started knowing some Muslims. And I didn't know of them as Muslims so much, but after I got to know this group of friends as Muslims, and I started realizing that this group of people, they were so respectful to their parents. And they were very serious about their studies. And they had a respect for life in general. And that was a new idea to me. And this stayed in my mind. While I was studying, especially this it doesn't seem so important, but to me it was very important. I was in a physics class, studying physics. And the second law of thermodynamics, I think it's called. It's the law of entropy, which says that chaos is inevitable. The only thing to stop that is work. Work is what work is what you use to balance chaos. So over time, things will get worse and worse and worse all by themselves if you don't do anything. And working hard keeps things in order. So this idea seemed very natural to me. Yes, all my life, this is what I'm doing. I'm working hard to make my life in order. Working hard to make my life in order. When I learned about Islam, and I realized there's so much work to being a Muslim. There's the fasting. There's the praying 5 times a day with wudu. And there's the restraint. Then there's holding your tongue. There's so many aspects to Islam which take effort. So later on when I learned about Islam and all the work that I need to do, it made sense to me that Allah would require us to do work, would require us to stay in order. That's how we keep everything from getting worse. This made sense to me. When I got married, on my wedding day, we had a Muslim wedding and we had a Christian wedding because I didn't convert yet. I was not still Muslim at that time. And the imam that married us made me say Shahada, but I did not know that I was saying that. I just repeated those words. And my heart was not against Islam. I just had not accepted it yet. And then sometime after we got married, I knew we had to come to common ground, my husband and myself. I didn't want us to be separate religions. And I asked him, so are you going to be Christian? And he said, no, I'm not gonna be Christian. He was not upset about Christianity, but he was firm. He's gonna be Muslim. So I thought, okay, so I'm better look into being Muslim then. Let's see what it is. So I started reading Qur'an. And realizing more and more and more that this is right. This is everything about Islam that's taught to us in the Qur'an makes so much sense. There's nothing confusing about it. It's very obvious. Little by little, I started doing things in my life to be a good Muslim. The first thing I started doing, I just remembered, it seems so bad or silly, but I stopped wearing shorts. That was the very first thing. I have to dress more modestly. That's the first thing I did. And just little steps after this to improve myself and my dignity and improve my relationship with God. It took me a long time. I still don't consider myself a very good Muslim. I have so much improvement to do. I pray and I fast regularly. But your personality has to really follow, Allah all the time. You have to have this taqwa all the time. And sometimes you can forget. You get involved in your entertainment or these things and you can forget. So But anyway, so over some time, I took more and more on Islam. And his mother, my mother-in-law, we went to Bangladesh I think 1 year after we got married. And his family had not accepted, I mean, they didn't, it was not an arranged marriage. So they didn't know me, they were a little afraid who I might be, some American girl, and and rightfully so, they didn't know me, and I didn't come from a Muslim background. But my husband stood by me and he said, if you're my wife, so they will accept you, And this gave me some confidence, and when I went there, alhamdulillah, everything went very well. My in-laws, they accepted me, and they loved me very much. And I remember my mother-in-law in Bangladesh, their home is a modest home, and the room has one bed and a chair and nice dresser for the plates and all that. And she sat me on the chair, and she sat on the bed, and she said, La ilaha illallah, over and over. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. And she made me repeat it. I didn't know what I was saying. I'm so thankful for my mother-in-law who tried to bring me to Islam and be kind and forgiving of me. She was a wonderful woman. She would try to teach me things about Islam, just little things, but she always loved me for who I was. She tried to encourage me to pray and to do things right. And all my family in Bangladesh, they've always been very loving and supportive of me and always respected me more than anyone else. My mother-in-law came to visit us maybe 5 years ago. 5 years ago. She came to visit us. She'd never ever been out of Bangladesh before. And I feel selfish that she came to visit us because we never sent her for Hajj. And she always wanted to do that. But she came to visit us, and then I really got to know her very well. Many times I would pass her room in the morning, and she would be sleeping on the floor on her prayer mat. All night she would pray. She kept her Qur'an in her bed, under her pillow, so she can read it all the time. And she was an old lady. She couldn't move very much. So this was her way of doing something in this life for Allah after she couldn't do things anymore. She raised 9 children, most of the time alone because her husband was passed away when my husband was just a little boy. And her eldest son was also killed in a robbery. So she had a very tough life. Also, her own mother passed away when she was born. So she was raised by her like a stepmother. And even though she never knew her mother, to me she would cry for her own mother she never knew. So this kind of person, this kind of woman that I got to know was very inspiring to me. How much love and devotion, someone can have. So she's passed away now, and anybody that would pray for her, inshallah, would really appreciate that. Unfortunately, never got to know my father-in-law because he passed away, like I said, when my husband was a boy. But all my family members have been very supportive of me, and my husband's side, all my Muslim family members. My own family has not really appreciated me being Muslim. They tolerate it, alhamdulillah, and I don't feel they treat me badly. One of my sisters in their family is devout Christians, and mashallah, they're very good people. They help a lot of people, a lot of poor people. They try to bring people to God. And then my other sister, she's I think also Christian too. She's becoming closer to God. And I think, all of us Christians and Muslims and Jews, we have to get along and support each other, because we're all trying to help each other. We're all trying to do the right thing and seek Allah's happiness. So we need to work together against something worse. We shouldn't be fighting amongst each other. Any more?
The story is finished?
I guess so, unless there's something you want me more to cry about.